Let's get into it, shall we?
Yes.
Starting with the upset of the weekend, Plymouth knocking out Liverpool. I mean, where does that rank in terms of big FA Cup upsets, Roy?
Well, it's up there with the biggest, I think, really. You see how well, obviously, Liverpool are going, absolutely brilliant, scoring loads of goals. Of course, they made lots of changes, which you thought the manager might do, and he's took a gamble, and it's backfired on him. Credit to Plymouth, who've been having a difficult season in terms of giving up goals, and their home record's not great, so that is definitely one of the biggest shocks out there.
Yeah, you have to and when you, because when you watch the game as well and you see how much those players put into it, obviously he's come in not too long ago and they seem very organised at the back, but the defensive work is not just about organisation, it's about the desire of the team and wanting to win the game. And I thought they, in the end, you know, they really deserved the win, and I think that it says a lot about the players on the fringe of Liverpool, because you could see the interviews that Arne Slot was having. Roy, did you see him? And he weren't happy. I think he found out a lot about a few of those on that day.
Yeah. Do you think he got the team selection wrong then, Arne Slot?
I don't think he got it. I wouldn't say he got it wrong, because I think that when he put the team out there, he would, without being arrogant, feel, yeah, this team should beat Plymouth, especially when you look at what Plymouth are doing. But you know, when it comes down to it, you're playing against Plymouth. If you go there, Premier League or not, and you're not professionally right in your head, and your mind's not right, you will get beaten. That's what's good about seeing that happen, because sometimes the players need a reminder.
Lessons to be learned, particularly for the younger players at Liverpool. It's like real football, whatever you're coming through reserves, academy football. That was real football, and Plymouth really wanted it. And when you're the underdog and you get the first goal, you've something to hold on to, and to keep a clean sheet. Great effort by Plymouth.
Some brilliant
a great story for Plymouth,
absolutely.
bearing in mind where they are in the Championship table. As for Miral Muslic, he's grabbed the headlines, especially bearing in mind how inspirational his team talks are. How impressed have you been with him?
Oh, it's been fantastic. You want a reaction when someone goes into a club when they're struggling, trying to give the players that little bit of leaf and get some confidence, and they seem to have got that. And yeah, all credit to him. You can't praise him enough. Absolutely fantastic. The key now is obviously to keep it going. That's the biggest challenge they all face.
Yeah, his interviews after, he sounds like somebody who's ready for a project there. And you know, looking at the players he's brought in and how meticulous he seems to be in the job he wants to do, you feel like he's just playing a part there for a while, because if he carries on like he's managing, he's probably going to move from now.
And it doesn't get any easier because it's Man City.
No, that's
that's
true.
Well, we'll see.
That's tough for them,
yeah, that's tough.
They'll cross that bridge when they get to it. They can still enjoy the Liverpool victory. It was a great effort.
Let's move on to Tottenham, shall we? They are knocked out of 2 cup competitions in the space of 4 days. So how damaging was that defeat to Aston Villa, Roy?
Well, it's tough going. Listen, going to Aston Villa is never going to be easy, and then you're a goal down very quickly in the game, a big mistake by the goalkeeper, and then you've a uphill battle, and we know how good Aston Villa are at home, particularly going forward. So Spurs are up against it at the moment. You look at the manager, he's under pressure, a lot of injuries. They've got United next week. I think for the manager and a lot of the players, it's about survival, hanging in there, try and get something from the United game. You're at home. They've got no midweek game. The manager mentioned that a couple of times. They've got no midweek game for the next few weeks, so they have a chance to regroup, get back in the training pitch, recharge the batteries.
Maybe get a few players back.
Of course, that's the key. Listen, they are missing some big players, but I still think the players out on that pitch can still be a bit more on the back of the Liverpool defeat as well. You can also be a bit harder to beat. I still think it's quite easy to get at them. Because
they've got 11 first-team players out at the moment. So do you think it's a valid excuse, bearing in mind they don't have all the best players at the moment?
No, I wouldn't say it's an excuse for any team when they're missing their star players. It's an uphill battle, and remember they got beaten by Liverpool and Villa, who are beating lots of teams. So it's tough going for them at the moment. But you don't get any sympathy this game, and the next game is going to be a tough game as well. United, as poor as United have been, United can still go down there and get a big result, and the pressure will just keep piling on the manager.
And you know, the thing I look at the way United are getting through games at the moment, they're just getting that little bit of FA Cup fortune, like a little bit of luck. You know what I mean? The ball's running from. You got a striker now who's. It's not quite going from in the league, but he's nicking goals in the FA Cup. You just kind of see a pattern building. I'm talking about Xerxes in that situation where you feel like sometimes, a club's got their name on it. So I know it's early doors, but you feel like that might be happening for United. It's going to be a tough game.
But the Spurs will have to find the answer from in their dressing rooms. It's no good looking out and looking for sympathy off anybody. Ange is an experienced manager. They've got to find something from within. A bit of fight, a bit of spirit.
So where are the leaders then in the dressing room?
Well, they're not showing. They don't seem to have that many at the moment. That's why some of the senior players have to come back and show that. But at the moment, with some of the results and the performances and the goals they're giving up, they need some players to step up to the plate.
Ange will be given time?
Well, we're dealing in the Premier League, and when you're looking at an owner maybe like Daniel Levy, you kind of feel like as time goes by, he kind of bends with the fans. If fans start going on, then he seems to normally press the button. But I think that you have to look at Ange and you have to look at the injuries. You definitely have to look at those, but at the same time, you do have to look at the tactics of what's going on as well. Both can be true. But, you're hoping that, they've got some players coming back.
Yeah.
Like Kari,
And they're still in Europe.
Yeah, they're still
that might just keep the enthusiasm enough from the owner, I think.
Because I think that it has impacted, but at the same time, I think what he's struggling with, for me, Tottenham, depth of squad and quality. I think if he's going to play the way he's playing, he needs to have the kind of squad where you can rotate that, and maybe then we can see how well his system is going. But I don't think he's got the depth and the quality of the squad to do what he's doing. And then you get in the injuries, it's a nightmare.
And then you put yourself under pressure. Sorry, you talk about we've a free week, we've players coming back, and then the results don't improve, and all of a sudden you're saying, well, I thought things would improve because you've had a free week and players have come back. So when they do come back, they do have to have an impact.
Exactly.
So do you think the amount of injuries they've had is down to their style of play?
I think that'd be unfair because you know what, Roy, when you look at a couple of them, people talk about the muscles, the soft tissue like injuries, what they get and stuff. Yes, they've had a few of those, but they've had ACLs, they've had like tweaks.
There's a number of hamstrings.
You know what I mean? There's
there?
A couple of hamstrings. But the thing is that
I think they definitely did rush one or two players back from hamstring.
I think
Mickey
so.
van der Ven came back too soon in December.
I think Spurs and the manager probably be the first to admit that. But sometimes when you're under pressure and your squad is light, you do force players back. That's the problem. That just piles the pressure on the medical staff. You talk about your training, obviously, but the demands on the players nowadays, but you have to be robust. If you want to be a top footballer, you have to expect to play 50, 60 games.
And the thing is,
sometimes
the training,
you can be unlucky.
Yeah, people are saying about the training and is the training effective? When they're playing Thursday, Sunday, they're not training as often as people are saying. So, what I mean? So it's a tough one for Andrew, and people are saying, I see training methods. But like I say, I'll go back again. I don't think the squad's deep enough and enough quality to sustain what they're trying to do.
So Ange did say at the start of the season, which he probably regrets saying now, that he always wins a trophy in his second campaign. I mean, do you think?
Well, I don't. And sometimes that can be tongue in cheek in a manager.
He seems pretty serious.
He's serious, but listen, he still has a chance to back it up.
Yeah.
That's
the thing. Does he put all his eggs in the Europa League basket now?
Sometimes I don't mind a manager coming up and being cocky and saying, listen, that's his track record where he believes he can win a trophy in his second season, whatever, and he still has a chance. Because, there's still a chance with Europe and the teams in the competition they're in. You'd like to think with Spurs, with all their players available, and there's no game in Europe for a while, that they will be able to compete in that competition.
And he did say that at a time where he didn't think that he would get the injuries he's got, so he probably is quite confident in looking at his squad and seeing what he might have been able to achieve, but unfortunately, it's not happened. So we'll see how it goes for him.
Wouldn't it be worse if he said, I don't expect to win any trophy?
Exactly.
You'd be thinking you're not ambitious.
Always putting it into perspective for us. As for Aston Villa, a massive opportunity for them. They keep going from strength to strength under Unai Emery. Bearing in mind there's no Liverpool, there's no Arsenal, there's no Chelsea, no Tottenham. I mean, this is a big opportunity for Aston Villa.
Yeah, I think there's a few clubs will be looking at it now, and I don't necessarily obviously mean obviously the bigger teams like Man United, Man City. There's teams like Villa now and Palace and Fulham still in it.
Yep. They'll all
be thinking, do you know what? And especially the teams who've had a home draw before, if you can get into that, you're into the quarterfinal of the FA Cup.
Yeah.
So a lot of clubs out there must be thinking, including Aston Villa, we've got a great chance this year. Nottingham Forest must think, obviously I got to a cup final with Forest many years ago. They must have the belief with the momentum they've got that they have a chance. I think they've got a home game after this. If they get through against Ipswich, is that right?
Yeah.
So they'll be thinking, listen, why not us this year?
When you used to watch the cup draw, you always want the big teams out. This is a perfect scenario for all those teams, for a Villa, for a Palace, for Forest. Perfect scenario.
A lot of clubs have been delighted to see Liverpool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Obviously, be worried about one of them.
So,
and when you get to this stage of the competition, you're on about the fifth and then the quarterfinal. If you've anything about it as a player, you would be thinking, this could be your year.
It could be it.
They should be thinking that way.
So who have you got your eyes on for the fifth round?
Well, obviously, Plymouth. You know what, Plymouth is a tough one. They're beating Liverpool, then you get City. It's a tough one for them. You would like to maybe see them, even if that's to get the draw at home, might have been good for them. But that's a tough one. I'm looking forward to the Palace Millwall one, just simply because when I was younger, that was a massive game down in South London. That's a big game, for South London.
I'd keep an eye, of course, obviously, United getting Fulham.
Yeah.
United had a brilliant, obviously, performance down at Arsenal, rode their luck a little bit against Leicester. Another home game for United. And again, if they get through, you're thinking, again, maybe they can retain it.
They could retain it.
For all their troubles, they'd be thinking that.
Could you imagine?
But there's Villa, Newcastle.
Yeah, Newcastle.
There's some good games coming. Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much. That was a lot of fun. Right, what's another amazing weekend of FA Cup action. And remember, you can watch the FA Cup across ITV.